Hi, this is Marcia Vaca with Vaca Associates Family Checks and Balances. Good to be with you today. The topic I'm actually going to cover today has been at the request of one of my subscribers who wanted some tips and hints about how he could help his parents plan for the future. Great topic, lots of things to cover. We won't have time to get into absolutely everything, but I'm going to touch on four primary areas: the legal side of planning for the future, uh, financial affairs, healthcare, and funeral cemetery. So before I begin today, I do want to remind you that I am not an attorney, I'm not a financial advisor or planner, and that everything that I share with you is just my personal experience, opinions, things that I've dealt with and handled in the past for not only my own family, but for my clients and patients. And so everything that I do share with you, you need to check out with your own professional people in your community and just make sure everything is on target and exactly spot on for what your family, for your loved ones, what you need. So, with that said, the most important thing that I tell adult children who come to me with this kind of question is I always say, well, what kind of planning have you done? Doesn't matter if you're 30, 45, 55, whatever it is, whatever your age is, what have you done to plan for your future? Have you put your trust and wills in place and your power of attorney for healthcare in place? If you have children under the age of 18 or under the age of majority adulthood in your state, have you assigned guardians such that if something should happen to you and your spouse, either at the same time or close to the same time, that you've got your children taken care of? Do you have your insurances in place? Do you have close friends that you can share their contact information with your parents such that if anything does happen, then your parents know who to reach out to first and foremost. So it's always best if you can go in to talk to your parents about these delicate and sensitive issues if you've done your own planning first and you're able to walk through the door and say, here, let me share with you a little bit about what I've done. So that's always first and foremost. So let's go ahead and take a look at these four key areas together. And like I say, I'm just going to touch on them. And if you've got any other questions, then you know how to like this video, subscribe, leave me a comment. I'm happy to get back to you. So the first area is legal. Now, the legal planning really entails probably working with an estate planning attorney. So you have a trust, you have a will, and you have different power of attorneys in place, whatever your parents' situation might require. There might even be a business attorney that's needed because your folks own a business. And if something happened to them or if they decide to retire, you need to know what their plans are and how they're organized with the business to pass that on or to sell it or whatever. So with the legal side of things, it really does depend on, do they own a home or not? Are they renters or not? What are some of the power of attorneys that they might need? There's usually typically 2 to 3 general power of attorneys that we think of in estate planning. One is a general power of attorney, one is a power of attorney for finances, and then power of attorney for healthcare. And your parents may know exactly who they would want to identify as an agent to handle healthcare related issues. That may or may not be the same person they would identify to handle financial affairs. And those people may or may not be who they would assign to be the executor of their estate or of their will. So those are all important legal documents that need to be put in place. Now, particularly with power of attorneys for finance, you can have one that's very specifically written. Say you have a cousin and you want your cousin to be able to sell a particular car of yours. Well, you can write a power of attorney specific to just your cousin selling that car. So they can be very specific, or they can be more general, where it gives your agent, as it's known, the person you've given authority to, the ability to sell your house, sell your car, buy a house, buy a car, uh, pay bills, whatever it might be. So talk to an estate planning attorney. Make sure your parents meet with someone that they trust and work with them to get whatever estate plans and legal documents need to be in place. That's just a real quick overview of all the legal issues. The second key area is finances, and it is somewhat, of course, all these 4 areas are tied together. But on the financial side, do you know where mom and dad have their checking account, savings account, money market account? Do you know who their financial planner or advisor is? Do you know who their insurance agent is? And the insurances range everything from life insurance to health insurance to auto insurance, homeowners or renters insurance. So all of that information, it would be really good to gather into one place such that at least you have some kind of idea as to how mom and dad's financial affairs are structured and who they're working with. Do they have that financial advisor? Would they allow you to go to a meeting with them, with the financial advisors, so you understand how they've got their investments working and how they're producing income for them outside of what they may be getting through Social Security or other pension plans. And that does mean, too, to have some kind of sense as to what mom and dad's income looks like. Just in general, you don't need it down to the penny, but just to have an idea. Yeah, they get Social Security. Yeah, they get a pension. Yeah, they get money coming in once a month from their investment. And generally, how much is that? $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month, whatever it might be. So the whole financial piece is really touchy, because here's the thing. If you ask your parents to go on their checking account just so you can help them, I'm not saying you're going to do anything awful, but when you do go on to their financial accounts, your Social Security number gets tied to those financial accounts, which means basically if you're on the checking account where mom and dad's Social Security checks go into, you could wipe them out. You could take all the money and go take a nice vacation, I guess. That typically does not happen. But just be aware that subconsciously that might be some of the little bit of fear or questioning that parents might have as to, why do you want to be on my account? Why are you asking me this information? Again, if you've already done your planning and you've shared with them what you've planned for, it will help them maybe understand that you're just trying to be prepared for who knows what the future might hold. Also on the financial side is knowing who their life insurance is with, the policy number, the type of insurance that it is, who's got their homeowners or renters policy, their auto insurance policy. Just having a list of that together, such that even though you may not keep it at your home, you've put a list together with mom and dad, and you have both agreed where it's going to be kept, protected, fire and water safe, and you know where to find it in the event of an emergency. The other list that's really important to have is all the credit card information, to have their credit card numbers, the expiration dates, make sure whether you know that they have online access to their accounts, that they've already set up username and passwords for all their credit card accounts, maybe even their bank and savings account, and have those username and passwords all together in one place. Now, my bias is I do everything on paper. Most of my older clients, they're not tech savvy. And while you and I, as younger people, might be really wanting to use, an online password manager type situation, your parents may not be ready for that, so be sensitive to that. But at least put down on paper and put it someplace safe so you know all that information is handy to you if and when you need it. You may not really need it for a good long time, but at least you know that it's done and it's been up to date. So the third area after legal and financial is taking a look at the healthcare specific issues. Now, unless you are the decision maker on a power of attorney for healthcare, sometimes also called an advance directive for healthcare, sometimes called a durable power of attorney for healthcare or DPOA, unless you are the decision maker, healthcare providers these days do not have to talk to you. They don't have to share much information with you at all unless they've got the express permission of your parent. Now, you can go into a face-to-face meeting with your mom or dad into the doctor's office, and while you're sitting there right in front of them, your mom could say, oh yeah, you can say whatever you want to say, that's fine, she can know that. But if you're not actually the decision maker, you're not on a piece of paper with the doctor's office, they may or may not have anything to do with you if you do a follow-up call into the office. So there is another document in the doctor's office called a release of information. Your attorney can also help with this, but a release of information form is just what it says, where your parent signs off on the fact that they will allow that healthcare provider to share information with you. And even though you may not be the ultimate decision maker, you can at least get information. You can help make appointments, cancel appointments, change appointments, that sort of thing. So even if you're not the decision maker on that healthcare power of attorney, at least see if your parent will sign off on a release of information form for you. Healthcare is usually the first place in which we as adult children step in to help our loved one. So that is why dealing with the healthcare system, with their healthcare insurance, with their providers, those become real critical upfront pieces, such as who their doctors are, how to reach their doctors, who to call in the event of an emergency. Not every emergency is a 911 emergency, so that's why it's important to have that medical information handy to you. The fourth area, funeral and cemetery. Now, this is one that most of us, we don't want to talk about. We don't want to deal with it. But it's probably one of the hardest areas that I've ever dealt with my clients and their loved ones. When someone dies, before they've expressed their wishes and desires and what they want to see happen, it becomes really difficult to know exactly what that person would have desired. And really, you don't want to be doing something that your mom and dad don't want to see happen, right? So, a couple of things. There's two sides to this end of life issue. One is funeral and one is cemetery. When you think about cemetery, that's the plot. Think land or think the niche, inside a mausoleum area. So that's cemetery. So did mom and dad buy, funeral plots, land at a cemetery? Do they have niches that they bought at a cemetery? What do they already have planned? The other side is the funeral side, where you deal with the actual funeral services, whether they want to be cremated or not, whether they want what we call full body burial or not, if they want to be embalmed or not, and what the state or county regulations are regarding embalming or not embalming, the casket, all those things, that's all on the funeral side. So the more that you can know what their wishes are, and to find out if they've already put things in place and paid for things, that will be extremely helpful. Now, when you do come to that point, there's going to be 20, 30 questions that you're going to have to answer for the funeral home. They're going to, of course, want to know the full legal name of your parent, the date of their birth, the date of their death, their social security number, at least the state in which they were born. They're going to have information on both of their parents, so your grandparents, and they're going to want to know maiden names. So you need to find out from mom and dad, what was your dad's name, what was your mom's name, and what was your mom's maiden name, as well as knowing for your mom what her maiden name was. Okay. And believe me, families don't always know this information. The other thing is how long they've lived in that county or community. Did they have a profession, a business, a title that you'd want to add to the death certificate? How many years were they in that line of work? What's their education? Did they have high school, college, postgraduate training? Were they in military service? And do you have a copy of their DD 214? DD 214 is a one-page summary of someone's military service. The date that they went in, the date they were discharged, their rank and title. So you can request the DD 214 from the Department of Veterans Affairs and have that in hand. In fact, if your dad or mom, if they were in the military service, they may already have it somewhere in their files. So you just need to ask. So, when the time comes and you're already pretty stressed out, you're in grief and loss, it's hard sitting down at a funeral home and going over all the multitude of questions and making all the decisions that you're going to have to make. And of course, you want to do it according to what their wishes were. And you do not want to have to be scrambling around for all the information that I just went over that they're going to need for the death certificate. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking for a moment. I know that's a lot of information. There's even a lot more we could dig into, but I'm going to leave it there for now. So if you do have any added questions or concerns or areas you'd like me to cover, after you watch this video, like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and then make sure to leave me a question. Reach out to me. I'm going to give you my link into my website. So feel free to reach out. Let me know what else you might like to know about this particular topic or area, or if you've got another area of concern or interest that you would like me to speak to. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I look forward to seeing you again in a future video.